I assume you know why we called this meeting, my father said, leaning back in his chair. I sat across the long table, staring at the polished surface that reflected the harsh light above us. I can guess, I replied, my voice calm, though my chest felt tight. My mother folded her hands. We've made our decision about the CEO position. I looked from her to my father, then to Daniel, who sat with that smug half-smile I had learned to hate. And, I asked, though a part of me already knew. It will be Daniel, my father said, without hesitation. The words landed like a hammer. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Daniel? You're serious? Daniel adjusted his cufflinks, grinning. They know what's best for the company. I leaned forward, my hands gripping the edge of the table. Best for the company? I secured nearly every major contract we have. I kept this place alive when things were falling apart, and you choose him? You're too emotional, my father said flatly. Daniel has the right image, the right composure. Investors will trust him. Investors? I shot back. Clients trust me. Do you even realize half of them deal only because of me? My mother sighed, her tone soft, almost pleading. We appreciate everything you've done, but it's time for new leadership. You've worked hard. But Daniel? I cut her off. Daniel's never closed a deal on his own. He's never stayed in this office past 6 p.m. He's never sacrificed a damn thing for this company. Daniel smirked. Maybe that's why I'll last longer. You burn yourself out. I know how to delegate. I stared at him, the blood rushing to my head. You don't even know what work is. Enough, my father snapped. This is not up for debate. The board agrees with us. The decision is final. I sat back, laughing under my breath. The board agrees, or you convince them. Let me guess, you promise them a family face, someone you can control. Watch your tone, my father warned. No, I said firmly, shaking my head. You watch yours. I gave years of my life to this company, nights without sleep, weekends sacrificed, friendships ruined. And you're telling me none of it mattered? You were rewarded. Your salary, your position, your influence. My influence? I interrupted. You just stripped it from me and handed it to him. Daniel leaned closer, lowering his voice as if savoring the moment. Maybe you were never meant to lead. Some of us are born for it. I wanted to punch him, but I clenched my fists under the table instead. Born for it? You've been spoon-fed your whole life. You'll drown in responsibilities you don't even understand. Then maybe you should be here to help me, he said slyly. I glared at him, then turned to my parents. Tell me this isn't about favoritism. Tell me this is about merit. Tell me you honestly believe Daniel can do what I've done. My mother's eyes softened for a moment, but she said nothing. My father remained silent, his expression stone. That silence was the answer. I stood, the chair scraping against the floor. You're making the biggest mistake of your lives, and when it falls apart, don't expect me to fix it. You're part of this family, my mother said quickly. You can't just walk away. Watch me, I muttered, heading for the door. Don't turn your back on us, my father barked. I stopped, my hand on the door handle. My chest ached, my throat tight. You already turned your back on me. For a moment, the room was silent except for my breathing. I half expected someone to stop me, to say they'd reconsider, to admit they were wrong. But no one spoke. Daniel finally broke the silence. Good luck out there. You'll need it. I opened the door without looking back. No, Daniel. You'll need it. The hallway felt colder than the boardroom. Each step echoed as if the building itself mocked me. I could still hear their voices in my head, dismissive and final. Years of sacrifice meant nothing. Loyalty meant nothing. By the time I reached the exit, my hands were trembling. I pressed them against the glass doors, staring out at the city lights. Rage burned inside me, mixing with a sharp, hollow pain. I whispered to myself, never again. I'll never save them. The doors swung open, and I walked into the night, leaving everything and everyone behind.
Man, you've been quiet lately, my friend Amir said, sliding a coffee across the table. I stared at the steam rising. Just tired. He frowned. Tired? You? Come on, something's up. I forced a smile. Work stuff. Work? He pressed. Last I heard you were running half the company. What happened? I shifted in my seat, avoiding his eyes. Things changed. Changed how? I shook my head. Doesn't matter. Let's not talk about it. Amir leaned back, studying me. You don't shut down unless it's bad. Spill. I clenched my jaw. They chose Daniel. His eyes widened. Wait, CEO? They picked Daniel over you? Yeah, I muttered. That's insane. Everyone knows you carried that company. I laughed bitterly. Apparently everyone except them. He slammed his hand on the table. Unbelievable. And Daniel? What's he know about leadership? Nothing, I said flatly. But he's their golden boy. My phone buzzed just then. A message from Daniel. What now? Amir asked, nodding at my screen. I read it aloud. Need your support. Could use your advice. Amir scoffed. Support? After stealing your spot? I locked the phone and shoved it back into my pocket. I'm not answering. Good, Amir said. Let him sweat. But silence weighed on me. At night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying every sacrifice. Contracts I'd chased across the country, nights I'd slept in the office, times I'd missed birthdays, weddings, life itself. And for what? To be discarded for bloodline pride. A few days later, my mother called. Hello? I answered. My tone clipped. She waved calmly, almost cheerfully. How are you, son? I'm fine. That's good. Have you spoken to Daniel? No. She paused. He could use your guidance. You know the transition is never easy. I laughed, the sound sharp. Transition? You mean the decision you all made behind my back? It wasn't behind your back, she said softly. We discussed it openly. No, I snapped. You announced it. That's not discussion. Her silence stretched, heavy. Finally, she whispered, We thought you'd understand. I bit down on my anger. Understand? That my years meant nothing? That my work was invisible? You're still part of the family, she offered weakly. Family doesn't treat you like that. I then hung up. The silence afterwards felt louder than her voice. Later that week, Daniel called me himself. I answered out of spite more than curiosity. Hey, he said, too casual. I didn't reply. You saw my message? Yes. And nothing. He sighed. Look, I know you're upset. Upset? I cut him off. You took everything I built and called it your own. I didn't take it, he protested. They gave it to me. Exactly, I said coldly. They gave it to you. Not because you earned it, but because you were born lucky. He hesitated. Maybe they see potential in me. Potential? I barked a laugh. You couldn't negotiate your way out of a paper bag. Don't be bitter, he said sharply. I clenched my fist. Bitter? I bled for that company. You coasted. And now you want me to clean up your mess? I didn't say. You don't have to. Your messages scream it. You're drowning already, aren't you? Silence. Yeah, I said, my voice low. You're in over your head and I'm not saving you. Come on, he muttered. We're brothers. I exhaled sharply. Brothers don't stab each other in the back. Fine, he snapped. Stay bitter, but don't act like you're not jealous. That word cut deeper than I expected. I ended the call without another word. The days turned into weeks. My parents acted as if nothing had happened, sending casual texts about dinner, about relatives, about nonsense. I didn't reply. The silence between us grew into something immovable. Every message left unanswered, every call ignored, every memory replayed. Bitterness became my closest companion, and silence became my shield.
The first call came late in the evening. I almost didn't answer. "Hello?" I said, already sensing tension. My father's voice was sharp, but shaky. "We have a problem. The Miller contract. $850,000. It's gone." I leaned back in my chair. "Gone?" "They pulled out," he admitted. "They said they only trusted you. They refused to deal with Daniel." I almost laughed. Of course they did. I built that relationship. "We need you here," he said quickly. "Just for now. Help your brother adjust, smooth things over." I closed my eyes, biting back anger. "Help my brother adjust? You mean save him?" "It's not like that," my father insisted. "It's about the company." "No," I said firmly. "It's about choices. You chose him. Now live with it." Before he could reply, I ended the call. Minutes later, my phone buzzed again. My mother this time. "Please don't hang up," she pleaded. I sighed. "What is it?" "You know Daniel's trying. He's under so much pressure. If you step in, even for a short while—" "I'm not your bandage," I snapped. "You're our son," she whispered. "Then treat me like one," I said coldly. "Not like a tool you pick up when convenient." "Don't say that," she begged. "We're family." "Family doesn't betray each other." I hung up. The silence after was satisfying, for a moment. Then the phone rang again. This time it was Daniel. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. "What?" I barked. His voice trembled. "You heard about Miller." "I did." "You could fix it." I laughed bitterly. "And why would I do that?" "Because this is your company too." "No, Daniel. It stopped being mine the day they handed you the crown." "You're being dramatic," he muttered. "It was a business decision." "Business decision?" I snapped. "It was favoritism, plain and simple." "You think I wanted this?" he shot back. "Yes," I said, without hesitation. "You sat there smirking when they announced it." He fell silent. Finally, he said, "I'm drowning here. Do you really want to watch me fail?" "Yes," I answered, without hesitation. "You're cruel," he hissed. "No," I said, my voice steady. "I'm free." He tried again, softening his tone. "We can still work together. I'll take the title. You'll handle the deals. No one has to know." I clenched my jaw. "So I do the work, and you get the glory? Just like always?" "That's not fair." "Life's not fair. But you wouldn't know that, would you?" His voice cracked. "You owe us this." That lit a fire in my chest. I owe you nothing. Not you, not them. Nothing. Before he could reply, I hung up. The calls didn't stop. Over the next week, my parents tried again and again, sometimes begging, sometimes guilt-tripping, sometimes threatening. "Think of the legacy," my father urged one night.
Think of your brother, my mother said the next. But I only thought of myself, sitting alone with the bitter taste of betrayal still fresh. One evening, Amir noticed my buzzing phone. Still them? He asked. Yeah, I muttered. You going to cave? I shook my head. Not a chance. He smirked. Then let them burn. And I realized as my phone lit up with another desperate call, that was exactly what I planned to do.
Motivation. Amir tossed a newspaper on my desk. You've seen this, right? The headline screamed about the company's delays. I smirked. Yeah, first late deliveries, now public exposure. He whistled. They're spiraling. My phone buzzed again. Another voicemail. I ignored it. You're not tempted? Amir asked. Tempted to what? I shot back. To swoop in, fix it, play the hero. I shook my head. No, they wanted Daniel. Let Daniel handle it. Later that night, my phone buzzed nonstop. I finally answered. Hello? It was Claire, one of the senior managers. Her voice cracked. Please, you need to come back. Half the staff's talking about quitting. I closed my eyes. Claire, I'm done. You don't understand, she insisted. We can't work with him. He doesn't listen. He doesn't know what he's doing. Then why are you still there? I asked. Because I believed you might return, she admitted. Her words cut, but I stayed silent. Please, she whispered, don't let us drone. I can't, I said finally. Not this time. I hung up before my resolution cracked. The next morning, my mother called again. Have you seen the headlines? She asked, her voice sharp. I have, I said. This is your family's legacy. Do you want it destroyed? I laughed bitterly. Legacy? You destroyed it when you chose him. We only wanted what's best, she tried. No, you wanted control, and now you're losing it. She fell quiet, then whispered, You'll regret this. No, I said, you will. I ended the call. Days later, Daniel himself showed up outside my apartment. He looked exhausted, his tie loose, eyes red-shot. We need to talk. I didn't move from the doorway. Say it here. He shoved his hands into his pockets. People are quitting. Clients are leaving. I can't stop it. I crossed my arms. Not my problem. Don't do this, he muttered. We're family. You keep saying that, but family doesn't stab each other in the back. His jaw tightened. Fine, stay out. But when this whole company collapses, don't pretend you didn't have a hand in it. I stared at him coldly. I didn't collapse it. You did. He turned and stormed down the hall. The banging on my door rattled the frame. I opened it and froze. Daniel stood there, thinner, suit wrinkled, face pale, eyes red like he hadn't slept in days. Open up, he demanded, though his voice cracked. I leaned on the doorframe. You're already in front of me. He shoved past me, pacing my living room. This is a disaster. Do you know how bad it is? Do you? I folded my arms. I've seen the headlines. He spun toward me. Headlines? That's all you care about. The company's burning. Everyone's leaving. Clients won't even take my calls. I sat on the armrest of the couch, watching him unravel. Sounds like a leadership problem. His voice rose. Don't mock me. You think I don't know I'm failing? I stayed quiet. Daniel's fists clenched. You should have been there. You abandoned us. I shook my head slowly. No. You abandoned me the day you smirked across that boardroom table. His face twisted, then his voice dropped. I can't do this. I'm not you. The words stunned me. He tried, he said, pacing again.
I studied your contracts, your notes, even sat with managers you used to lead, but nothing works. They don't respect me. They only respected you. Maybe because I earned it, I said sharply. His shoulders slumped. I thought I could handle it, that maybe I deserved it just because they were their choice. But I can't. I'm drowning. For a moment, I almost pitied him. Almost. Daniel rubbed his temples, then looked up, tears welling. Please, come back. I'll step down. I'll tell them you're the only one who can fix this. I stared at him. Now you admitted? Yes, I admitted. I'm nothing without you. Is that what you want to hear? I walked to the window, staring out at the city lights. Funny. On the day you took everything from me, you had that smug grin. Do you remember? He froze. I do. It's burned into my memory. You didn't respect what I built. You just wanted to wear the crown. His hands trembled. I was jealous, okay? Always living in your shadow. They praised you every day. They compared me to you constantly. When they finally handed me something, anything, I clung to it. And now it's crushing me. I turned back to him, my chest heavy. And you expect me to rescue you? His voice dropped to a whisper. I'm begging you. For a moment, silence filled the room. His tears slid down his cheeks. His pride, once so sharp, lay shattered at my feet. I walked closer, my voice low. You never respected the work, Daniel. You never respected me. You thought the title was enough. But leadership isn't a title. It's blood, sweat, and sacrifice, things you never gave. He shook his head. I can learn. Just help me. Please. I studied him, torn between the brother I once loved and the man who betrayed me. My heart ached, but my anger burned hotter. You want forgiveness? I asked. He nodded desperately. You don't deserve it, I said coldly. You made your choice. Now drown in it. His breath hitched. You can't mean that? I opened the door and stood aside. Get out. He didn't move. His face crumbled, then he collapsed into the chair, sobbing uncontrollably. The sound echoed in the small apartment, raw and broken. Please, he cried, don't do this to me. I clenched my fists. Part of me wanted to reach out, to comfort him. But the memory of betrayal, of humiliation, of nights I'd spent saving the company while he lived carefree, chained me. I steadied my voice. This isn't me doing something to you. This is you facing what you created. His sobs grew louder. I felt the urge to look away, but I forced myself to stand firm. Finally, I whispered, You're not my responsibility anymore. He lifted his head, eyes swollen. So that's it? You'll let everything fall apart just to spite me? I shook my head. Not to spite you. To free myself. I grabbed the door handle. Goodbye, Daniel. His voice cracked one last time. You'll regret this. I met his eyes, steady. No, you will. I shut the door and his cries echoed down the hallway. Inside, I pressed my back against the door, heart pounding. My chest burned with a mix of pain and power. For the first time, I felt the weight of finality. I had closed the door not just on Daniel, but on the part of me that still hoped he'd ever change.
Richard, Marcus said, leaning back in the cafe chair, I've been waiting for this call for years. Tell me you're finally free. I smirked. Free and building something of my own. You in? He laughed. Am I in? Half the clients I know are waiting for you. Just give me the word. Hearing that filled me with something sharp, something alive. Then let's start small. Clean contracts, no politics, just work. Marcus raised his cup to a clean start. We clinked glasses, and for the first time in months, my chest felt light. Later, when I called Sophia, one of our old clients, she picked up instantly. Please tell me it's true, she said. What's true? I teased. That you're finally working without your family? Because if you are, I'll sign tomorrow.
Her eagerness surprised me. You'd leave that fast? I already left. I've been waiting for you. No one managed my account the way you did. Her words steadied me. Then let's build something better. Just you and me, no middlemen. She laughed. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Each call was the same. Old names, familiar voices, people I thought had forgotten me, all saying the same thing. We trust you, not them. By the end of the week, my small apartment was filled with papers, laptops, and late-night takeout. The sound of ringing phones replaced silence. Marcus stopped by one evening, glancing at the mess. It looks like the empire is already rising. I shook my head. Not an empire, just a place where I don't have to beg for respect. He studied me carefully. You sound happier. I am, I admitted, but it's different. No safety net, no legacy behind me, just me. Isn't that what you wanted? He asked. Yes, I said, though a knot formed in my chest. Days blurred. Clients came aboard faster than I could prepare. The work consumed me, yet unlike before, it felt like my work, not a burden forced onto me. One night, exhausted, I called Sophia again. You sound tired, she said gently. I am, but it's the good kind of tired. Because it's yours now? She asked. I smiled faintly. Exactly. She was quiet, then added, Don't lose yourself again. Build something that feeds you, not just drains you. Her words lingered long after we hung up. Later, Marcus called, voice full of excitement. We just signed another one. Richard, do you realize what's happening? You're beating them at their own game. I closed my eyes, letting the victory sink in. It feels good, Marcus, but it also feels lonely. Lonely? He repeated. Yeah, every win reminds me of what I lost. Family, trust, the belief that they ever wanted me. He was quiet before replying, Maybe that's the price of freedom. You built this without them. That matters more. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. But does winning mean anything if it leaves you empty at night? He hesitated. That's a question only you can answer. After we hung up, the silence pressed against me. My desk overflowed with contracts and plans, yet the apartment felt hollow. I whispered to myself, Is this victory or just another prison? The next morning, Sophia texted me, Don't forget, freedom isn't just breaking away, it's deciding who you become after. I stared at her words, then at the files stacked around me. For the first time, I wondered if building my path was enough, or if I needed something more. Still, when I picked up the phone and said, This is Richard, how can I help you? The sound of those words grounded me. It wasn't the family's company, it wasn't their legacy, it was mine.
Moavision. The first headline hit me over coffee. Family empire collapses under debt. I read it twice, just to let the reality settle in. By noon, 3 more articles surfaced. Lawsuits, layoffs, clients fleeing. My phone buzzed nonstop. Marcus called first. Have you seen the news? He asked, breathless. I have, I said calmly. He chuckled in disbelief. They're done, Richard. The mighty empire? Finished. I sipped my coffee. It was bound to happen. You don't sound surprised. I'm not. Hours later, another call came. Sophia. Richard, it's everywhere, she said. Your family's name is plastered across every business page. I know. They're saying Daniel resigned. Is that true? I leaned back. Yes, he finally broke. She paused. How do you feel? I hesitated. Lighter, but also sad. Sad for them? Sad for what could have been. That evening, the phone rang again. My father. His voice was sharp, clipped. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I stayed silent. Answer me, he demanded. I don't enjoy watching anyone fall, I replied. You could have stopped it. One word from you, one decision, and this wouldn't have happened. I clenched my jaw. No, this happened the day you chose Daniel over me. He scoffed, always playing the victim. I walked away because you left me no choice. You abandoned your family. No, I shot back, You abandoned me first." There was a heavy pause before he muttered, "Your mother can't even leave the house. People whisper when they see her. That's not my burden. You think you're free? You'll always be tied to us, to this shame." "I already cut the rope," I told him, then ended the call. Minutes later, my phone lit up again. This time, it was Sophia. I almost let it ring out, but I answered. "Richard," she said softly, "why are you doing this to us?" "I'm not doing anything. The world is just seeing the truth." "You could have helped Daniel. You could have stepped in." "Why would I save someone who betrayed me?" She sighed. "Because you're better than him." "Apparently, you never thought so," I said coldly. She tried again. "We built this for you." "No," I said firmly. "You built it for yourselves, and when it came time to choose, you made it clear where I stood." Her voice cracked. "Your father is broken. Daniel has vanished. And you? How can you stand there so calm?" "Because I already grieved this family the day you turned your backs on me." Her sobs filled the line, but I didn't flinch. When she whispered, "I hope you're proud," I answered, "I'm not proud. I'm free." Then I hung up. Later that night, Marcus stopped by, holding a newspaper. "You're the only one who saw this coming," he said. "They thought they were untouchable," I replied. "They're blaming you now," he warned. I shrugged. "Let them. The world knows better." Marcus studied me. "Do you feel guilty?" "No," I said without hesitation. "Not even a little?" I met his gaze. "Tell me, Marcus, if someone stabbed you in the back, would you hand them the knife again?" He shook his head slowly. "Guess not." "Then why should I?" We sat in silence for a while, the hum of the city outside filling the room. Finally, Marcus said, "This is justice." "Maybe, but justice doesn't feel as sweet as I thought." The next morning, more headlines screamed their disgrace. Bankruptcy imminent. Shareholders sue former executives. Their empire was ashes. Daniel didn't call. He disappeared completely, leaving only rumors, rehab, exile, hiding abroad. My parents, however, kept calling. Each time, their words grew harsher. "You betrayed us," my father repeated. "No," I always answered. "You betrayed me." The cycle continued until one day, I let the phone ring without answering. For the first time, I realized their voices no longer shook me. That night, Marcus raised a toast. To the end of their reign. I lifted my glass. To new beginnings. But inside, a quieter thought echoed. They destroyed themselves. All I did was refuse to follow.
The invitation arrived with no warmth, just a date, a time, and the family crest embossed on the card. Against my better judgment, I went. When I stepped into the dining hall, I barely recognized them. My parents, once commanding presences, now looked diminished. My father's suit hung loose on his frame, and my mother's eyes were rimmed red. "Richard," my father said stiffly. "Father." He gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit." I lowered myself into the seat, the silence already unbearable. My mother broke first. "It's been months." "Yes," I answered. She twisted her napkin. "And not a word from you." "There wasn't anything left to say." My father's jaw tightened. "There's always something to say to family." I looked him in the eye. "Then why were you silent when Daniel turned on me?" His fingers drummed the table. "We thought, no, you didn't think. You chose." My mother's voice cracked. "We were desperate, and I was disposable." Her tears spilled. "Why didn't you come back? Why didn't you save us?" I leaned forward. "Because you never saved me." The words hung heavy, silencing even her sobs. My father cleared his throat. "Your brother should be here." "He's not," I said flatly. "You've heard nothing?" "Nothing, and I don't care to." He frowned. "He's still your blood. Blood means nothing without loyalty." The room went cold. My mother dabbed her eyes, whispering,
I prayed you'd forgive us. I shook my head. Forgiveness doesn't rebuild trust, and trust is gone. My father slammed his hand on the table. Do you take pride in this, watching us fall apart? I met his fury with calm. No, but I won't carry blame that isn't mine. You let the family rot. You poisoned it long before I walked away. His face hardened, but his voice softened, almost pleading. We were wrong, but we are still your parents. And I'm still your son, but I won't live chained to your mistakes. The silence grew unbearable again. Dishes clinked in the distance where servants moved quietly, pretending not to hear. Finally, my mother whispered, Do you hate us? I exhaled slowly. No. Hate would mean I still belong here. But I don't. Her sobbing returned, softer this time, like she knew the truth couldn't be undone. My father leaned back, defeated. Then, what do you want from us? Nothing, I answered. I want nothing. At all. The air thickened, heavy with everything we'd never said. After a long pause, my mother reached across the table, her hand trembling. Stay for dinner, at least. I pulled back. No, I shouldn't pretend I fit here anymore. I stood. Chairs scraped. My father didn't move, his eyes locked on me with a mixture of anger and regret. My mother's sobs filled the hollow space I left behind. At the doorway, I turned once more. You asked why I didn't save you. The truth is, I finally saved myself. And then I walked out, leaving their silence to echo behind me.
Moviation. The glass doors of my office slid open, and sunlight poured across the polished floor. For the first time in years, I walked in without the weight of someone else's name on my shoulders. Morning, boss. Clara, my assistant, called from her desk. I smiled. Morning. How's everything looking today? She handed me a folder. 3 client meetings, 1 investor call. They're all eager. You've built something people believe in. I flipped through the papers. No one believed in me when I was there. Now they line up. She grinned. Because here, they trust you. I stepped into the conference room where a few early clients were waiting. Richard, one of them said warmly, rising to shake my hand. You saved us when others walked away. I shook his hand firmly. No, I just kept my word. Another client chimed in. That's rare these days. That's why we're with you. I nodded. Then let's keep building something honest. As the meeting ended, I lingered by the window watching the city hum below. Clara came in quietly. You're thinking again, she teased. I chuckled. Caught me. What is it this time? I hesitated. Them, my family. Her expression softened. Do you regret it? I shook my head. No, but sometimes I wonder. If they hadn't betrayed me, would I have stayed? She leaned against the wall. Maybe, but then you'd never have this. I glanced around the room. Their faces, their loyalty, their faith in me. True. This is mine. Finally mine. My phone buzzed. A number I knew but hadn't saved in years flashed on the screen. My father. Clara raised an eyebrow. You going to answer? I pressed decline. No. That chapter's over. She studied me. You sure? Yes. Talking to them again would mean I still care. And I don't. Later, during lunch, a colleague sat beside me. You ever think about going back? Mending things? He asked casually. I sipped my coffee. They burned the bridge. I just watched it collapse. But they're still your parents. I met his gaze. Parents protect you. Mine used me. There's no mending that. The afternoon blurred with calls and signatures,
But my thoughts returned, uninvited, to the past. When the last meeting ended, I closed the door and sat alone. My reflection in the darkened glass stared back at me. "You did it," I whispered. The door opened again. Clara, hesitant. "You're working too hard." I smiled faintly. "Old habits." She stepped inside. "Then let me remind you, you're not proving yourself to anyone anymore. You've already won." I leaned back. Sometimes it doesn't feel like winning. What does it feel like then? Like freedom, but also emptiness. She tilted her head. "Because you wanted their approval?" "Because I wanted a family," I admitted. For a moment, silence settled between us. Then she said softly, "Maybe family isn't who you're born to. Maybe it's who stays." Her words stayed with me long after she left. That evening, as the office quieted, a group of employees stopped by my door. "Heading out, Richard?" one asked. "Soon," I replied. They lingered. "Just wanted to say, we're glad we're here, with you." I felt something shift inside me. "Thank you. I couldn't do this without you all." "You already did," another said. "You gave us something real to believe in." Their voices echoed long after they left. I walked across the empty floor, the sound of my footsteps sharp in the silence. At the glass doors, I paused, looking back once, not at a throne I never inherited, but at a future I had built with my own hands. "Goodbye," I whispered. Not to the office, but to the ghosts that still lingered. As I stepped into the night, the city lights flickered like promises. For the first time in years, pride burned in me. Not borrowed, not conditional, but mine alone. And I knew then with certainty, I would never look back.